Hi, I'm Charlene, and I'm part of the executive for the Musselman Lake Residents Association. We have a special opportunity here today to understand more about a feature of our landscape with which most of us are very, very familiar with, the gravel pit on the 9th line just south of Musselman Lake. Now that gravel pit, as we have known it, has been given the name Lee Sand and Gravel. But I'm here today with Mr. Alec Cloke. He is the owner of United Soil Management, and you have no doubt seen that sign up on the previous Lee Sand and Gravel site. We also have Julia Ricci of SCS Consulting Group, and Julia, as I understand it, is the nexus point for all of the communications which Mr. Cloke's group does with all of the levels of government. Now, can I turn it over to you, Mr. Cloke, to introduce yourself and your company?
Okay. United Soils Management is a company that came off our parent company, which is United Independent Operators Limited. United Independent Operators Limited is in the excavation business and the trucking business. It has been for 25 years. Part of the problem with our industry is finding proper places to dispose of clean fill, bad fill, garbage, and legal dump sites, fill sites. And so we started United Soils Management 10 years ago to fulfill the need of finding proper places to put materials. One of the locations that we are involved in is the location on 9th line, and we are putting clean fill into a piece of property, as you would describe it as Lee Sand and Gravel, and we will be for the next few years, and we're going to end up rebuilding the Lee family farm, which was a gravel pit, back to its original state as the farm before the gravel was started to be extracted in 1952.
Wow, that is quite a project. Very exciting to know that you're rehabilitating the land.
Yes.
And that there are quite stringent controls. Now, Julia, what is your role and the role of your company, the company you're working for?
Our role as SCS is to be the liaison between our client, who is Mr. Alec Cloke, and the municipality and any other agencies or government levels where we need to get the appropriate documentation, drawings, approvals, permits, reports to support the rehabilitation project.
Now, just generally, there are a couple of bits of information that I think most of us don't know, and one of the most important ones is that, as Rick Wigmore, the president of the Musselman Lake Residents Association, is fond of saying, the tap has already been turned, meaning that the gravel trucks that we are so used to in our environment going from that site, pulling gravel out, we've equally got fewer of those and more trucks starting to come in with fill. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So
yeah, the public drives by that location every day and they don't really understand what happens on the other side of the gate.
Exactly.
So I can describe it as this. The piece of property, you consider it a typical shoebox.
Right.
That shoebox, because of Mother Nature and because we're on the Oak Ridges Moraine, was 100% sand and a little bit of stone.
Okay.
That's just the way God put it there.
Right.
In 1952, the property was licensed, and the material on that property, 134 acres, was used to build the City of Toronto, the 401, 427, all the highway, the infrastructures, the plazas that you shop in. That site is now taken all the gravel out of it that it's allowed to take out of it.
Right.
As far as that part's concerned, it's winding down to nothing. So our province isn't left with a whole bunch of holes laying all over.
Right.
There are provincial rules about the status that property is to be left in before you go on to any other uses.
Right.
So my company right now is satisfying the province to leave that in a safe and tidy situation.
Yes.
The day after we're satisfied that, we're going to the town to have that site used as a clean fill site. And that's what the goal is. The goal is to rebuild that farm to look like the day before the first ounce of sand and gravel came out of it, including the woodlots, all the elevations, all the water streams that were there in the first place. We're taking it back to its original status.
So tell me if I got this right. You said woodlots. You mean you're going to reforest that area because there are no trees?
There are no trees on that site now, but we're dealing with the family that owns the property, and we're working together with them. There's hundreds and hundreds of photographs, and there was a woodlot, like most typical farms. There was a woodlot on their property, and we're going to reinstate that. So that's our mandate with the owner of the property.
That is wonderful news to know that the goal along the way is to have that land, again, completely connected to the environment it belongs to, with rolling hills, with woodlands. And I have to say that's going to include attracting all the wildlife, all the natural creatures that would be using that for their habitation and their food source. And this is very much what's been happening across the province, which I did not know, is that we are number one. First thing I didn't know is that aggregate is our #1 industry in Ontario. I just didn't know that. Maybe some of our viewers didn't know that either. And that's what you're referring to when you're saying all these holes. These are these old gravel pits. If you look at the Kiel landfill site, if you look at the Elora Gorge, if you go on Google and check out the Royal Botanical Gardens in Burlington, the rock garden there is a previous quarry.
Yes, it is.
So there's so many wonderful examples across our province of lands that have been rehabilitated to an extraordinary degree that some scientists are even finding that it's possible to bring back land formations, or rather not land formations, but biological areas that have been gone for well over the life of the quarry. For example, tall prairie grasses and wetlands that had been way a couple hundred years ago been there, and now they're being able to be brought back because of these rehabilitation projects, very carefully, everybody being very careful with our environment. So I'm extremely excited and happy to know that your company has taken upon itself to do such an incredibly detailed survey, look at, and compliance with all of the potential visionary holders of this project. Now, what is it in your background that allows you to be the man of the hour for this situation, Mr. Cloak?
Well, I've been in the construction industry since 1971. One of the main reasons why I'm there in the very first place is we have some history about doing work like this. My company did the rehabilitation of the Bear Road pit, the Bear Road landfill, where you just mentioned the Kiel Valley. The Bear Road pit was the pit that was owned by the City of Toronto before Kiel Valley.
Oh.
It's out in the East End. And what we did there for 8 or 9 years, in conjunction with the Friends of the Rouge, we provided the materials and the equipment to build the turtle ponds, the snake pits, and all that structure, and provided the materials for planting the trees. So now they have groups, children's groups going there, walking through and seeing all the flora and the fauna that you're supposed to see.
Right.
And what it is, it's actually a rehabilitated garbage dump.
Not
a landfill site, an actual garbage dump. City of Toronto garbage. It's all been reconstruction, and it's beautiful.
And what I want to put in here that I don't believe you mentioned is that every bit of what Mr. Cloak is talking about was done by United Soils Management pro bono, for free, voluntary. All the equipment, all the man hours. So this is the human being you're seeing in front of you who's talking about working with SCS Consulting Group and Julia Risi and the different levels of government to go forward with this incredible project that we have so much potential for. So with that, we'd like to bring this particular segment to a close, and thank you very much, Mr. Cloak. We'll be doing more segments in future for you to come back, and Julie, the same for you, if you would be so kind as to come back and we'll talk some more.
Sure.